Welcome to another edition of The Night Sky this week for April 26, 2021. So glad you could join me today. We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of different things in terms of deep sky this week. And of course, the moon plays a big part as well in what you're going to be seeing across the heavens in the last week of April. So why don't we start? First up, I'd like to say hello to every one of you watching. I'm looking at the comments coming in from all over the world. I'm so happy that Teresa can join us from Minneapolis, Minnesota. We've got Cinnamon from Colorado Springs, Mary from Athens, Greece. What a beautiful country you live in, Mary. And we've got Amanda from Dallas. We've got Michael from the Philippines, Gopa from New Jersey. And we've got Cirillo from Mexico. We've got Bob from South Carolina. Christelle, of course, from beautiful Marseille, France. Very nice. Yes, the pink moon. We'll talk about that too. And we've got Zvord from Toulouse, France as well. And Marianne from Netherlands. Oh my goodness. We've got people from all over. Veronica from Ontario. Wolfgang from Italy. Maria from Florida. Thank you so much for joining me wherever you are. And Alethea from from Arizona. Hi to you as well, all over the world. This is fantastic. We share one sky, right? That's what it's all about. And I hope I can share a few little tidbits with you this week. So we're going to turn our attention to the planetarium program. Here we go. We'll launch that here. And so, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't start with the full moon. That is what it's all about. So when and where can you see the supposed pink supermoon that is rising today? So maybe where you are in the world, where you're watching me right now, either live stream or you're watching this archived, the full moon or the near full moon is rising where you are. So if you're watching this later in the week, that's past the full moon. But on Monday, April 26th, we officially have the full moon rising in the east. So you will be looking for that silvery orb. There it is in this planetarium program. It is currently in the feet of Virgo, the Maiden constellation. And that constellation is marked by a particularly beautiful blue, bright star called Spica. Now, Spica is, just to give you an idea, Spica is 250 light years away. 250 years it takes the light from Spica to reach your eye. And you will find this beautiful blue-white star tonight, Monday, April 26th, very close to the moon, fairly close to it. It'll be the brightest star that is so close to the moon. A little bit farther away will be Arcturus, which is an orange star in the constellation Bootes, the herdsman. And it's kind of a constellation that looks like a kite. It's shaped like a kite or an ice cream cone. You can see it if I zoom in a little bit more. You can see the stars, one here, another one over here. That's the top of the ice cream cone. And the cone itself is marked by these stars here, and the bottom of the cone is Arcturus. Arcturus is a orange giant star that sits almost 37 light years away from Earth. So it's much closer than Spica, and you can see both of those bright stars are shining close to the moon. Arcturus is a bit farther, but look at the color difference. The color difference between Arcturus and Spica are very evident to the eye. Now, you'll have the full moon's glare to contend with. I know those of you that are more experienced with stargazing says, well, you have the moon. Yes, you do, but the moon still acts as a wonderful guidepost in tracking things down in the sky, especially for those of us that are new to the hobby and are just learning our way across the celestial land above our heads, right? So here's a great opportunity. Use the moon tonight. It's the full moon officially, and it's going to be marking the spots where you'll see Spica and Arcturus. Now, the moon will be rising above your local horizon in the east southeastern sky soon after your local sunset. So perhaps you're already in the dark tonight. It's already at nighttime where you're watching. The moon should be now positioned in your sky, rising in the east. And then as the night progresses, you'll see the moon as the hours go by. You'll see that moon. Let me mark it off for you here on my map. There we are. You'll see hour by hour, the moon will rise in the southern sky. It'll peak in the south, and that will happen, I would say local time where you are, around 12 o'clock a.m., 1 a.m. in the morning will be when the moon will be at its peak in the southern sky. So those of you that like to stay up at night, local time, when I say local, I mean where you are, wherever you're watching me, your time, local time, around midnight, 1 o'clock is when the moon will be near its highest position in the southern sky. And what, of course, is really nice, if you are able to, if you are watching me where it's daytime. I'm in Montreal, Canada, on the eastern side of North America. It's still in the afternoon. It's 1 p.m. where I am. And so I'm waiting for this full moon to rise soon after my local sunset tonight. And when that happens, I recommend you try to find a spot where you see the moon rise right after, and the minutes after it rises. It's nothing like that experience. You have to see that. And it's the same every month. It's just beautiful. Now, what's special about this month that you hear is that it's considered a supermoon. So, what do we mean by supermoon, right? So when we talk about a supermoon, it refers to the fact that the moon is in a orbit around the Earth, I should say. Here, I'm going to zoom out, and you'll see there's the Earth. And if I just see the orbits, let me just get the orbiting here. There we go. So there's the orbit of the moon around the sun. Now, what's interesting is that the orbit of the moon is not perfectly circular around the Earth. There are times when the moon is closer to the Earth than other times. And so tonight, on April 26th, the moon, while it's in full phase, we see the entire disk of the moon, will be at its closest point to Earth, or one of the closest during this year. And when it reaches its closest point, when it's full, we call it a supermoon. So how much closer? We're only taking a few tens of thousands of kilometers closer than the average. Usually it's about 40 to 50,000 times closer than the average full moon. And for that, can you see the difference? About 13% bigger than the normal full moon is what you can expect tonight, and maybe about 20 to 30% brighter than normal, which could be noticeable that it's brighter than the average full moon. So that's why we call it a supermoon. And why is it referred to as the pink supermoon? That simply refers to the fact that the moon is the full moon of the month of April. Every month we have a full moon. The full moon occurring in the month of April is the time of the year in the northern hemisphere when we have our springtime flowers blooming, starting to open up. So the pink colors are evident in our backyards and our gardens, and those pink flowers are just starting to pop open. And so that's why the moon is referred to as pink. Will you see a pink coloration? I doubt that very much. Perhaps, maybe when the moon is rising, you'll see it in a different color. And why that happens, it's the same effect that we see of beautiful sunsets and sunrises turning kind of orangey red color. Why that's happening is that all the dust in the atmosphere is bending or refracting the light from the sun in the case of a sunset. But with the moonrise and a moonset, when the moon is near your local horizon, it actually looks like a different color. And I'd love to hear what you're seeing, what you're going to see tonight. Is it going to be orangey color, yellowish? Usually it's a yellowish kind of tinge. And that's because of all the particulate matter in the atmosphere that the moonlight has to penetrate and go through that column of air, Earth's atmosphere, to reach your eye. And it bends it towards the red part of the spectrum. So you'll see not a silvery color to the moon when it's near the horizon, but maybe a yellowish orange color is what you will notice. So check that out. The full moon, it's called a pink supermoon. Now you know why. And it's because of the time of the year that the full moon is happening and the fact that it's at its closest. Now, by the way, just a little added tip about this is that the moon, that the super moon that's happening in April, it's not actually the closest of the year. That will happen to next month in May. The next full moon in 4 weeks from now in the month of May, will also be a supermoon and will actually be officially the closest moon to Earth for the calendar year of 2021. So the May full moon, the one coming up, but it'll be so small. It's something like I read something like it's 0.004% closer. Is that noticeable? Definitely not. You're not going to notice the beauty difference between today's full moon and the one happening in May. So get out. If you've got clear skies, watch that full moon rise tonight. And I'd love to see pictures. Snap me a picture and I'll share it on my timeline, Facebook or Instagram or on Twitter as well. So check that out. So that's the story of the moon. Now, if we kind of continue on with looking at the sky, before I continue with the moon, I wanted to get this a little darker and just show you the lay of the land again of what you're seeing in the sky. So, of course, in terms of planets in the evening, Mars is visible, still pinning us down on the western sky. It's starting to diminish because Mars's distance from Earth is increasing. So right now, Mars is 297 million kilometers away from us. And the light from Mars is diminishing. It's still visible to the naked eye. It's a bright star, but it's not as bright as it was, if you noticed, last month or the months before, even into late last year when it was at opposition, when Mars and Earth was at its closest distance. You've noticed that it's faded quite a bit. And then through a telescope, it just looks like a small little disk now. Quite a difference in the last few months. So Mars is pinning down the western evening sky. Do check this out. And it has a retinue basically surrounded by some beautiful bright stars as well. So this is again after your darkness falls after sunset. Anytime this week, check this out. You've got Capella pinning down the upper right part of from Mars. That's in the constellation Auriga. You've got lower down. You got to be quick with Aldebaran before it sets. That's in Taurus. And then you've got Betelgeuse marking the shoulder of Orion the Hunter. That's just below Mars. Of course, then a little farther away, the brightest star in this configuration is Sirius. That is something that I can highly recommend to see. It's easy to see. And of course, Procyon in Canis Minor, the small dog. Canis Major is marked by, of course, by Sirius, the brightest star. And then Procyon marks Canis Minor. So check that out. And then way at the top above Mars is Pollux. Pollux and Castor. Those are, of course, the Gemini twins. So all of these are kind of around like a crown around Mars. So do take that into account anytime this week when you're going out viewing early in the evening. There are easy things to see, even if you are in light polluted cities. Great way to learn many constellations thanks to Mars pointing the way in the direction of where to look for. Now, if we turn our attention back to the southern skies in the mid evenings this week is also dominated by Leo the Lion with its very bright star called Regulus, which is about 77 light years away, a human lifetime. It takes the light from Regulus to reach your eye. Bright, brilliant, bright star, blue-white in color, and it marks the heart of Leo, and that's high up in the southern sky. If you watched my previous shows, you know that this is a galaxy hunting region. It's rich and rich with many different types of galaxies. We're actually being able to look out of the Milky Way galaxy into the grand universe and see other cousin galaxies populating this part of the sky. That's why there's not many bright stars where Leo the Lion is. It's a pretty sparse area. And of course, we're back to where the moon is next to Spica and Arcturus. This is, of course, on Monday. But if we kind of go later into night and then we shift the days, here we go. So on Tuesday night, the post-full moon, this is the waning gibbous moon, we call it. It's heading towards a constellation by Wednesday and Thursday. You'll see this moon pairing up with one of my favorite stars, Antares. Antares marks the eye of the constellation Scorpius, the scorpion, this giant arachnoid, of course. And this is a constellation that you'll see in the early evening in a few months' time. But it's something right now late at night is when it's really coming close to around midnight, and post midnight into the early morning hours is when you'll see this. So when are you going to see the moon next to Antares? Well, that will be late night Wednesday into early Thursday morning. So check that out. When that moon rises, look carefully and you'll see next to it an orange bright star. That bright star is Antares. And by the way, what's very cool with Antares, I love Antares. Let me just get some of this magnitude, just lessen the clutter here of how many things there are visible. And what you'll notice is you see this cross here that's marked here next to Antares? This is a beautiful globular cluster called M4. And a globular, I'll show you what it looks like. It's just magnificent. It's 7,000 light years away. And through a telescope, it looks like this beautiful shimmering city of stars. It measures, somewhere across 100 light years across. 7,000 light years away means it's one of the closest globular clusters, and they're one of the most ancient. These are individual stars. It's just simply fascinating to see through a small telescope. A small pair of binoculars will also show it as a fuzzy little cotton ball next to Antares. And to me, it looks like a pile of sugar, as if you took white crystal sugar on a black tablecloth and you just poured it out on the black tablecloth. You have a mound of sugar and all these crystals all around it. That's what it is, as if you were looking down on a tablecloth. That's what it looks like. And it's really actually a three-dimensional ball-shaped city of stars. And it contains hundreds of thousands of stars, actually, all clustered together. And these are called globular clusters, these configurations. We know hundreds of them scattered across the Milky Way galaxy. And some of these represent amazing sights through backyard telescopes. Highly recommended. And this one is located right next to Antares. So late Wednesday into Thursday morning, the moon will be positioned next to Antares. And then with binoculars and telescopes, you'll see next to Antares this little fuzzy ball of light. You can see it right there. There it is. It's marked in the cross here, a little fuzzy ball. And this is about the view that you'd get through a pair of binoculars, something like that. They'll both be easily in the pair of binoculars. And look for that fuzzy ball. That is M4, which is a beautiful giant globular cluster in the constellation Scorpius. I'll have a sky chart for this and all these other things. Don't worry, we'll have that up for you as well. So that's Wednesday night. Now, let's continue following the moon. If we continue following the moon by late Thursday, Late Friday, you can see the moon is going to be lower and lower and later into the overnight period. And at one point, if we go into the dawn period of the night, just when before the sun rises, an hour before, a half hour before your sunrise, you'll see the moon. And this is, by the way, by Saturday morning, Saturn and Jupiter will be creating a beautiful line with the moon. So you'll have Jupiter, the brightest star, and then a little bit fainter will be Saturn, and then off to their right will be the beautiful moon right there. So in a beautiful line, we'll have a lineup of that, and then including that, far off to the right is Antares. So you have Jupiter, Saturn, Moon, and Antares in a beautiful lineup in the early morning skies, Saturday morning. And then to round out this week, if you go to Sunday, well, the moon is even closer to Saturn and Jupiter, a wonderful trio there on early Sunday morning. So there you have it, folks. You've got a whole bunch of stuff to watch with the moon acting as a guidepost, training you to where to look for a globular cluster next to Antares, looking at at all these beautiful series of constellations throughout the spring skies. And it's just really a lovely time to be going out and observing the night sky. I'm turning just to the chat and seeing all of you guys. Thank you so much. Leah from Tennessee, wonderful to join. Maria from San Diego. We've got Kathy from New Brunswick, Canada. Wonderful to see you. Gunilla from Sweden. Deborah from Kansas. Wonderful. Wow, UK. We've got Vincent from the UK visiting us. So this is fantastic. Thank you so much for spending a few moments of your time with me this week. I'll have sky charts for all of this. And if you like this video, please do subscribe to my channel, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube or on Twitch. And I'll have all kinds of star charts throughout and astronomy news throughout the coming week. And until next week, I wish all of you, of course, clear skies. Bye-bye.